Hi, this is Nik Dyer with Purple Carrot Edible Garden Design and Coaching, and today we're going to build an herb spiral. Alright, so what we're doing here today is building an herb spiral, and I have some, like one sheet that will show you kind of a picture of what it is. I'm sort of wary about giving them to you guys in the rain here, but so you have some kind of an idea of what's going on. Kind of cover it up a little bit. And herb spiral, I'll let you look at this while I give a little kind of talk about where this came from and the whole idea behind it. Was originally developed by Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, who were the people who developed permaculture, which is a design system that was developed in the 70s in Australia. Very arid climate, actually a climate that's pretty similar to ours here in California, central southern California. And basically it's not just, a lot of people think of it as a gardening system or an agricultural system. Really it's more of a design system for creating human spaces. It goes beyond just growing food. There's energy, water, recycling waste. There's a whole big thing on the internet about it. So if anybody is interested in it, especially after what we do here today, definitely encourage you to go and just like search permaculture and check it out, because it's permaculture. Yeah. It's pretty exciting. There's definitely some really interesting stuff that people are doing, and it's especially becoming popular now in the city. The idea of urban agriculture and growing food in the city, and permaculture really fits well into that, because part of the idea of permaculture is being able to grow as much food as you can in a small space. So that's kind of leads into the herb spiral idea, because that's one of the main things that's cool about an herb spiral. So let's see, a little bit more about permaculture. Basically it's modeled on natural systems. Bill Mollison and David Holmgren were ecologists or biologists, and they spent a lot of time observing natural systems and how natural systems worked without waste, and everybody got to eat, and it all worked out really well. And so they wanted to figure out a way to create human spaces that could kind of do the same thing. And the basic ethics are care of people, care of planet, and return the surplus. So any extra that you have left over to kind of like share that with either wildlife or your fellow humans. Some principles, and there's tons of principles that go along. That's sort of like what permaculture is based on, is the principles. And I'm just going to talk really quickly about some of the ones that are kind of exemplified by the herb spiral. And the first one is stacking functions. So everything that you do in a garden or an agricultural space in permaculture has multiple functions. So for example, the herb spiral, one of the really cool things about it is again, you have a lot of herbs in a small space. It can be built out of anything really, but usually it's rock or stone or brick. And that heats up the soil, so you can generally plant quicker. When you have an herb spiral. It's really efficient as far as water goes, because you have, generally what you're going to have is the water is going to move down the spiral, and so the things that need the most amount of water are at the bottom, and you don't necessarily have to water them more, because they're going to be getting the runoff and the extra water from the water you put on the top. So designing for diversity is another big thing that I love about permaculture. So getting as much biodiversity and different things in a small space as possible, and that again, of course, herb spiral is going to be doing that, because you're planting tons of herbs. And what really, it's going to be about a 6-foot space, 6-foot diameter space, and you would be able to put hardly anything there if you didn't do a raised bed and do some kind of a spiral like that. And the last one, which is kind of something that I try and do anyways all the time, is problems are solutions. So for example, like I had to use some pond liner not too long ago, and I got this giant tube, and that could be a huge waste. It's like a giant tube of cardboard. It's really extraordinarily thick. It's almost like wood. Like if you knock on it, it hurts your hand. So what I'm going to do is incorporate it into the herb spiral, and you see how here we have like, this is the side view of it. It's gonna be coming out the middle. So we're gonna sink it into the ground about 2 feet, and it's gonna come up the top, and then we're gonna plant into that tube as well. We're gonna poke, one of the things we're gonna do today is poke holes in that and plant peas now in the winter, and then in the spring plant strawberries in it. So we're not only gonna be just having a spiral, but we're gonna have like a tower of peas and or strawberries coming out of the middle of the spiral. So that's kind of like a way to like use waste as a resource, and yeah. So that's kind of my own twist on the herb spiral design, something that we're gonna do that's kind of different that I've never done before. So we'll see. You know, it's kind of fun, exciting little experiment. So now I guess I'll talk really briefly about what we're gonna do and kind of the schedule for the day. So the first thing that we need to do is mark out the cardboard. I'm gonna mulch with cardboard to stop any weeds coming up from below. I actually did that all throughout this garden. This was all mulched with cardboard. Some of the other areas here are mulched with cardboard. And then we're gonna draw the spiral on the cardboard as kind of a model, you know, a guide, so we can build on it. So we're gonna level the space, draw on the cardboard, cut a hole in it for the tube, sink the tube, and then we're gonna actually start building the spiral out of bricks. And it's gonna start out one level high, and then we're gonna slowly get higher and higher. And I'll explain a little bit more about how exactly we're gonna do that. We're gonna infill with rock a little bit to stabilize it. And then we're gonna do another thing, which I really love, which is a permaculture thing as well, which is the lasagna sheet mulch. So we're going, instead of just filling it up with soil, we're gonna take some of that straw from that bale, so that seat's gonna go away pretty soon here. And we're gonna layer straw and compost, so it makes a lasagna bed. And that's a way to build soil without actually having to bring in soil. So eventually it's gonna compact a little bit and sink a little bit, but eventually you end up with this really, really, really rich soil that's extraordinarily high in organic matter and really fertile. So that's what the fill of the herb spiral is gonna be. And then we're gonna cap it with just a potting soil so you can plant right into it right away. Otherwise we'd have to wait a little bit. So that's the general idea. And then you kind of have that picture, which is now probably soaking wet. So you have some kind of an idea about what it's going to look like. Once your herb spiral is built here, you want to plant it so that the things that need the most drainage don't like to sit in water and the most sun are on top. So lemon verbena is in that category. Also is sage. And then as we go down, we're putting on this side, which is going to get very little sun, some Vietnamese coriander. Could you show everybody the Vietnamese coriander, Raquel? Right there, okay. Which is a beautiful plant, and it's gonna fill out over the edge and kind of spill down there. And then we have some savory here, which also likes pretty good drainage. Vietnamese coriander, by the way, would like probably be in a little bit wetter spot, but it'll do okay. And the thyme, which likes good drainage as well, is coming down. And then we have some mentucha here, which is a Roman mint, which is kind of a specialty herb. It's really good. And then parsley, more mentucha, more parsley, chives down at the bottom. They can deal with a little wetter soil. And then we have dill, and then chamomile, and then mint all the way down at the end. And that likes a really wet spot and doesn't need that much sun. So it's all the way back where it's not going to get hardly any sun at all. Awesome. And so the cool thing about this, you know, is you can tell, like, really, you know, how much planting space there is. And this is just like a, you know, what, 5 by 5 area, you know, maybe 6 by 6 area more or less, and you have way more herbs than you could possibly plant in that space, you know.
Yay!
Beautiful. Thank you guys. That rocked. Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Imagine when the tower is going off too.
Tower.
Yeah.